We all have an addiction, and I'm not talking of the obvious ones of drugs and alcohol. Those are obvious. I'm talking underneath the deeper truth that lies behind the obvious, more physical addictions. Now, I've always held that addiction is actually something of a superpower or a gift. What easier way is there to learn about the power of will than through addiction? When you're addicted to some kind of drug or alcohol or something that's hurting you, it becomes very obvious and necessary for the need to apply willpower to change your life to better your health. And thus, addictions can be seen as something of a gift, an exercise, like going to the gym. The harder the situations you may experience in life that require a more abundant willpower, it's like an exercise, right? It's like lifting weights. There's this resistance, and the higher the resistance, the stronger you become. And addiction is like a top tier heavy weightlifting thing because you have to apply so much will to create a change. But the deeper truth behind addiction, I think, from my point of view, from my perception, is that there is this addiction that all of us human beings, or at least the majority of us, share. And that is the addiction to identity, the addiction to self. That I am me, and there is no changing that. It's even in some sayings like, oh, he's always done that. I've always done that. That's just the way I am. This is not true, though. It's the way you've chosen to be. It's the way you keep choosing to be. Every single morning you wake up, you have choices, you have options. And our identity are very similar to habits, right? We have habituated our way of being for so long that it has ingrained itself into our psyche as a personality or a sense of identity. But these things change, right? We can notice that through self-reflection and seeing our lives. And who you are now is not who you were 10 years ago, at least hopefully, right? You don't want to stay the same for too long. You want to grow, you want to expand, you want to better yourself, improve yourself over time. Learn from the lessons and mistakes you've done in the past to make and create a better you. The idea of life as the process of creation, and what you're creating most is yourself, right? Your identity. It should not be stagnant. It should not be habituated. It should always be growing, always be changing, transforming. The personality we are addicted to is actually not who we really want to be. We have this mental construct of programming, social conditioning, based off of what our parents told us, how our family treated us, what we learned in school, what we were interested in, who our friends were. All these things influenced and molded our personality in our youth. And this is the point of the transformation. This is the idea of the spiritual path. My definition of spirituality is to become aware that you are not the body, you are the spirit within the body. And by the shift of identification, you realize that the spirit can influence and mold the personality. The spirit is the willpower, or the soul is the one that conjures up the will to make the change, right? We become habituated to this ego construct, this construct of self, this construct of personality, of who I am based off of my experience, and coming aligned to the spirit aspect of self of like, no, you have a choice, you have will, you can influence yourselves. You can influence and recreate yourself, right? The renewing of the spirit. And by becoming aligned with this spirit, this soul self, you can now hear the whispers of who it is you want to be, right? How many times have you thought to yourself or daydreamed or dreamt about who you wanted to be, or wouldn't it be nice to be like this, or to do this thing, or to have this career? But something stops us. And it's this programming that's based off of fear that holds us back from becoming and attaining who we want to become. Once you become aware of this addiction to this personality, the self-limiting personality, this habituated personality of who you've been told to be, for the most part, it's usually other people that tell you to be this certain way. And that's helped construct this personality that you find yourself to be. As you become aware of this construct and the ability and the power to be able to mold it, that you are not this identity, right? You are the observer of the identity, the one behind it, the choice maker, the one that can apply the will to do a thing or change a thing. That's the ultimate superpower of being human. It's that willpower. It's that ability to choose. It's free will to become who you want to become, but you have to go through the challenges. You have to go through the obstacles. You've hidden yourself from yourself, and the rediscovery of who you are, the essence beyond your identity, and which can create a new identity, is what you really are, right? The energy, the animating energy that animates this body, the expressor. And I see like the optimal as like a liquid, a fluid identity to be able to adapt to any situation that presents itself. Because oftentimes, right, our identity or our habituated ways of thinking or doing things tends to hold us back from actually experiencing life. I've always been shy, and so speaking, going up to somebody and creating a conversation is difficult. This is the part of the habituated personality, right? With time, with effort, and with practice, one can better themselves at creating conversations with random strangers, thus diminishing their shyness and even getting rid of it, even going to the opposite, now becoming really social, right? We have the ability to adapt, right? That's one of the things that's helped humanity survive for so long, is our ability to adapt to changing situations, changing environments, right? We can create things to help us adapt, and in the external realm. But at the same time, and something that seems to be hidden from us, is this ability can be applied to the internal realm, right? We can adapt, we can change, we can transform our personality, our sense of identity, our habituated tendencies of self can be changed and transformed into whatever we see fit, right? We are the creators of our own lives. At the very least, from ourselves, you transform. I don't like this aspect of myself, so I take the effort, I take the time to apply the effort to make a change within my habit of being me. To see this addiction to self, this addiction to identity, and by becoming aware, realizing that we can change this, that just like any addiction, with enough willpower and with enough persistence, taking the time to apply the effort to make a change, we can mold and create better ways of expressing ourselves, more aligned to who we want to be in this world, right? And that it is all a choice. Your identity is a choice. You choose it, like I said, you choose it every morning you wake up. You can choose differently. You can always have the option to make a different choice. And with that, thank you for listening. Until next time, that's all I have for you.